there's something about consistency that nobody really explains, right? Like how you can actually want to change your life, like genuinely care, right? Think about it all the time and still not follow through. And I'm not talking about laziness. I'm not talking about you not wanting it enough, because you do, right? You've tried probably multiple times, but somehow it still doesn't stick. And then you hear the same advice over and over again, right? You hear things like just be disciplined, just stay consistent, just show up every day, right? And if that advice has ever made you feel worse, like you're the problem, like you're failing at something that should be simple, then you're probably missing something very important. Because I don't think you have a consistency problem. I think you've been reading this wrong, right? Like, because there are two different things happening when you don't follow through, and they feel exactly the same. From outside, they both kind of feel like I just don't want to do it today, or I just can't do it today, but they're not the same. And if you treat them the same, you'll just stay stuck in that cycle. The first one is resistance, right? This is when you can actually do the thing, but something in you is pushing you against it, right? Like you sit down and suddenly everything else feels more important, right? Like your phone, your room, right? Random things that you didn't care about like 5 minutes ago, right? And it feels like laziness, but it's really not, right? You're not avoiding the task, you're just avoiding how it feels, right? Maybe it feels uncomfortable. Maybe it feels like too much. Maybe it feels like you might fail, right? So your brain kind of moves away from it, right? And this is the part most people don't really notice, right? Resistance usually shows up in a pattern, right? You avoid it, then later you feel guilty, right? Then you promise yourself you'll do it better tomorrow, right? And that cycle just keeps repeating. But here's the most important part, right? When you finally do start, you're usually fine, right? Sometimes even better than fine, right? You get into it, you make progress, and you sit there thinking, right? Like, why was that so hard to start? That's the resistance, right? It fights you in the beginning, but disappears when you're in it, right? And but there's another version that looks the same, and this is the one that nobody talks about, right? This is when you actually don't have the energy, right? You're tired in your mind and you're just done, right? Or you feel empty. And in those moments, it's not that you won't do it, you just can't get yourself to do it, right? It's like trying to use your phone on 1% battery, right? The app isn't broken, there's just no battery. And this one doesn't go away just because you try harder, right? And this is where everything breaks, because you've been treating both of these like they're the same thing. So when you're resisting, you try to push harder. And when you're drained, you also try to push harder, right? But pushing through only works for one of them, right? So half that time, you're trying the wrong thing, right? And when it doesn't work, what happens? You just blame yourself, right? And this is where it starts to mess with your identity, right? Because when something doesn't work over and over, you stop blaming the method, right? And you kind of like start blaming yourself. because you start thinking like maybe I just don't have what it takes, or maybe I'm just not disciplined, right? Maybe this isn't for me. But the truth is, like, you were solving the wrong problem over and over again, right? So, of course, it didn't work. So, instead of asking, how do I stay consistent? Try asking what's actually going on right now. Is this resistance or is this low energy? Because resistance needs action, right? But low energy just needs more rest. And once you start asking the right question, that's when everything kind of like slows down, right? You stop reacting and you then start noticing, right? You catch yourself in the moment. Like, wait, this isn't me being lazy. This is me just avoiding something, right? Or this isn't resistance. I'm just actually drained right now, right? And I think that awareness changes how you respond, right? Because think of it like this: it's like trying to drive a car, let's say, right? Without knowing if the problem is the engine or the gas, right? So if you press harder when the tank is empty, what happened? Like really happens, right? But if the car is fine and you're just hesitating, that's a different problem, right? And it's the same situation, but you see how the fix is completely different, right? And this is why so many people feel stuck, because they're trying, right? But nothing actually is working. Not because they're incapable, but because they don't understand what's happening inside of them. But even if you understand everything we just talked about, right? There's still one part that you will keep messing up, right? And it's the most important part that people don't even notice. It's why you can start strong, feel motivated, feel clear, and then a few days later, what happens is like that version of you just disappears, right? And if you don't understand that part, you'll keep ending up back at the same place, even if you get everything else right, right? So that's the piece you need next. So go watch the next video, because once you see that, this whole cycle finally starts to break. I'll see you there.